Hi, this is Stephen Whittier with Tribe Growth Systems. If you're not familiar with me, I help personal trainers and other health and fitness coaches to create highly valuable, highly profitable online programs. But what I'm actually doing today is something a little bit different. Normally I'm working with my private clients, but today I actually wanted to tell my personal story about how I got here. And the reason why I think that's really important is just from observation, because the moment that you are seen as the coach, the consultant, the trainer, whatever field you occupy like that, there's some degree to which the people that you're working with see you as not being able to relate to their situation, kind of relate to their challenges, because they think that somehow you're above it. And although they may believe in you and they know that you've been able to do certain things, accomplish certain things, help other people to accomplish certain things, you can't really relate to their situation. You must have some sort of conditions or advantages that they don't have, that will explain why it can work for you but not for them. And if you are a personal trainer, a fitness coach, or a health coach, my guess is you probably had conversations like that with your own clients, because they'll look at you and say, you've got some sort of innate advantage of this self-discipline that I don't have, or you've got this genetics that I don't have, so on and so forth, right? What I want to assure you is that I do understand pretty much anything that you can think of that you have experienced or will experience maybe in the future. I can pretty much guarantee I've been through it in some way, shape, or form and felt the pain. The truth is, I know what it's like to struggle financially. I know what it's like to be extremely stressed about not only the present financial situations, but also long-term stability and success. I know what it's like to be completely burnt out. I know what it's like to try and wear every hat in the business and feel like, it's just impossible to get ahead, creating systems so you are not indispensable in your business. And I know what it's like to worry about time, for things that you want to do, and time with your family so that you can enjoy life while also serving your clients to the highest level. So I get it, trust me. So the bullet points of the story, really, I was starting to be a personal trainer straight out of college. Started off as a staff trainer at a commercial gym. Quite frankly, that sucked. I was making very little money and living in a terrible apartment, but it is what it is at that point. You're young trainer. And then I started working for myself, which was much better, started making more an hour, but still in that whole trap that everybody talks about you're really trading, it's manual labor to some extent. You're trading your time for an hour of pay, time for dollars. And, I was working hard. I never minded long hours. I never minded hard work. And I loved what I did. I was actually on track out of college I went back to grad school as well. I was on track to be a professor, but for me, my loves were fitness, and also I'm a long-term diehard martial artist, so that was always in the picture. So basically, I'm training people to make my money, and also doing some martial arts instruction, but everything I'm doing is essentially private training. And I'm working hard, serving people in the morning, sometimes having a lull in the middle of the day, then going back at it in the afternoon and the evening, and just hustle, trying to keep up. And one of the dangers if you're a young trainer is once you start to make a little bit of money, so you've got money in your pocket and you're starting to book up your calendar and maybe a little bit of money in the bank, is you start to get complacent because you think, well, I'm good. But let me tell you, what counts as good money when you're a young trainer or a coach of some sort starts to change a lot once you decide to have a family, once you start thinking about long-term security, such as, can I afford college someday? Can I actually have a career that I can retire on someday, or I'm going to have to stress out about finding something else to do? So all these things I can relate to. And I was hustling, and just realizing, I got engaged, then I got married, and I needed more than this because I was starting to get pretty burnt out from the grind. Although I loved it, it was catching up to me, and I needed to have something more to build on for a career. So I'm looking at all the traditional models. Do I hire other trainers and kind of expand a personal training business? Do I open up a private studio or a gym? Ultimately, that's what I decided to do. It seemed to make the most sense to me at the time for what other people were doing to kind of scale. But I had moved down to the coast in my state with my wife, and so it was a bit of a smaller area. We're outside the city by a lot, and so by all appearances, my gym was doing great. We had a great reputation straight out of the gates, and this gym has gone on and won year after year, best health and fitness center, all the accolades, great results for our clients. But then you get into, okay, I'm still personal training. So I'm doing fitness, doing some martial arts lessons. We have group classes. Now I'm managing trainers and instructors and staff, and there's overhead costs, and there's monthly overhead, and there's also all the things that you're going to need to do, but you underestimate what it's going to take, like all the marketing, how much time that actually takes, what's not working as well as what's working. And while this is going on and the stress is building up and the long hours are getting even longer, I'm starting to have some months where it's just super tight and I'm worrying about paying my bills. And so, although it did provide me some more leverage in terms of now I've got other people working, it's not just me, and I have more members of my gym and more clients, it's also what's required is going up. And so when you try and make some strategic moves, sometimes that gets very scary, very risky. And I was just trying to do all the social media. Sometimes I tried to outsource and I was just not as happy with the results. People guaranteeing, we're going to drive you so many leads, but it's not always the same. And I'm grinding. And meanwhile, then I have my daughter. So now I do have a family, and it was just building up to a point where I can't even spend the time that I want to with my family. So, I feel like it's affecting my personal relationships at home. I'm still financially stressed. I'm still worried about the future. And it got to a point where not just for a couple days or for one bad week, but consistently for months, people were starting to say, "Hey man, are you okay? Like, you've got dark circles under your eyes. You look absolutely exhausted." And I would just pass it off and say, just working hard, a little bit of work stress, but everything's great. But inside I felt like I was dying because I had sort of hit this glass ceiling, and I was truly running myself into the ground to the point that I thought I'm going to wind up in a situation where I'm going to collapse from exhaustion and stress, and I'm going to probably be in the hospital on IVs for a few days and need to take a break. And if that happens, then what happens to my business and my family's security? And always thinking about the long term as well. So I knew something needed to change. And the more that I was looking at all the options at this point for, like, what do I do next? I knew that I was continuing to refine my systems in the gym, so it didn't need to rely as much on me. But in particular, I was interested as I started to become more successful with my marketing systems. Let's face it, nowadays, that means online marketing, because that's what is the most effective for most industries. I started to see the people who were truly creating significant incomes online. And so what I did was I got some coaching, which by comparison to what I do with my clients today is very rudimentary, but that's all, it was what I needed at the time because I was a novice. I got some coaching. I started to study hard and make some spare time, whether it was early in the morning, late at night, fight through my exhaustion. And I started to study a little bit and figure out what it was that my market was looking for. And I started to serve them. I started to just put information out there, giving value, building up an email list. What happened was people started to ask me within a pretty short period of time, "Hey, this is great. Could you create a product? Do you have anything? Do you have a program for me?" And so I thought, well, I didn't know what to expect, but this is promising. So what I did was I hustled and I created a product or a program to sell online. And so I built up to a release. I launched it, and at the end of 4 days, lo and behold, I had $30,000 that I didn't have 4 days earlier. And all of a sudden, I just went from stress, anxiety, exhaustion to an epiphany of what was possible. So $30,000 isn't a big release by the big online guru standards, but here's the thing, like nowadays, there's a lot of people now out there sort of saying, I'm going to help personal trainers, fitness coaches, whatever, create high ticket online programs. But that's only been for like the last few years, 5 years maybe. I started doing this in 2011. So I did this first product launch. This was not high ticket. This was $150 low ticket online program. And I made $30,000 in 4 days in 2011 from a $150 product with no prior experience. So not a big deal in the online universe, but to me at that time, it was huge. It was an epiphany. And then all of a sudden what happened was, to build on that, I started getting approached by other people, friends, business colleagues, people who were following me online started to ask me, can you help me too? Can you help me with my thing? You know, I was getting interviewed about that release and what I did and everything. So all of a sudden I felt this little bit of surge of momentum, kind of reinvigorated me. And I had some joint venture opportunities. I did a re-release of my program later that year. So totally part-time, online only, not counting what I was doing with my gym, where I was putting in most of my time. At the end of the year, I made $100,000. So I went 6 figures. And that just really cemented to me, there's something here. And everybody that had my program, I was getting rave reviews, so I knew that they were getting value from it. Like, it was really helping them. I had all these hesitations about, can I help people online, or does it need to be in person? Does it need to be one-on-one or through the gym? Well, that was answered, right? So anyway, it was in that year, as people started to come to me for help, that I started to also move into the coaching and consulting. So I was both doing my own stuff online as well as helping others. And then it's evolved, and I've really kind of figured out, looking at all the different models that people are doing nowadays online, really started to figure it out. One of the cautions there, not to get too much off track, but as I looked at all the different models, there's a lot of people doing apps, a lot of people doing low ticket, like I started with. There's a lot of people doing just like one-on-one coaching online. And then there's people who are doing high ticket, but when the way that they're doing high ticket, all these things wind up leading to basically trading one master for another, where even if you're doing well and making money, you're still burning yourself out just in another way. You're still doing too much manual labor. So it is very possible with the process that I have now to create more leverage for yourself in terms of time and money, but also really provide an amazing service for your clients so they can get the results that they want, sometimes even, often even surpass the results that they want. And, you can really be making a difference. So that's what I'm obsessed with, basically, is, serving people first, but finding out, a way to do that so that I can also be fresh and invigorated to continue to do that and, have financial security. So that's what I love to help people do. So, if anything I've said today resonates with you in any way, I just want to reiterate, I hope that you know that I understand. Because if you're feeling the financial stress, if you're feeling like, you're trying all these different things with your marketing and your social media and it's just burning you out, if you feel like you're worried about long-term security, any of those things, I have been there. And the thing is, not only have I found a way through, I'm living proof, but I've also been able to help other people do the same thing. Like I've been able to have a repeatable results from my own with others as well. So I know you can get through it. I know you can thrive and become successful. But the thing is, I have a challenge for you, a question, because this is what it all comes down to. If you're not going to make a significant change to your situation now, then when? Okay? It's got to be something that's a priority, because as you know from your own clients, the tendency is always You could be very self-disciplined and very motivated to do things when it comes to your fitness or your nutrition, for instance. But when it comes to this, when it comes to your life, to your business, it's very easy to say, I've got this going on right now, so I'll do it next month. I've got this going on right now, so it'll be next year, then I can, right? And as you know, that tends not to come. Next month, next year doesn't come, right? Before you know it, it's another month, another year. So I really want to challenge you to make that change now, okay? To not just continue to do what you're doing, but to really figure out what it is you need to do to identify your present situation, what your challenges are, and to move beyond that. So I hope my story is helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.